A couple of days ago, just before sunrise, I was capturing Jupiter and 4 moons. As I was zooming in, I saw an object in the sky that wasn't visible when I start zooming in on Jupiter. The object looked bigger than Jupiter, meaning it had to be a lot closer. So I took my focus off Jupiter and started to zoom on this object. That's when I realized it was moving. I had no idea what it was, but I knew it was not a plane, as it had no other lights, just a bright dot. I thought about a helicopter, but both would have made some noise. Where I was parked there was no sound, not a vehicle, not even a bird chirping yet. It was not a hot air balloon, as there would have been a different light. I figured it had to be a balloon satellite. Back when Elon Musk released the 40 Starlink satellites, I watched them go over my head here in New Brunswick, Canada. They looked extremely close, as the lights were as big or bigger than this object I will show you in a minute. I was parked and capturing star trails while waiting for sunrise. I was sitting in the car, as it takes more than an hour to do the star trails. Getting bored, I step out of the car and started looking at the stars. After a minute or two, I noticed a light coming over the trees from the east. I remember the direction because my camera was facing north to Polaris. I thought it had to be a helicopter, as the light appears so close and large. The thing is, there was absolutely zero sound. I watched the light slowly move a little south of direct west. I thought it was strange and actually a bit eerie. Because there was no sound at all. It was like a silent balloon going overhead. Then I saw a second light coming over the trees. That's when I thought about the Starlink. At that point I started counting the seconds. They were about 30 seconds apart. I also started counting the lights. I got to between 36 and 40 when I lost track of my counting. What I should have done was to stop my camera recording the star trails and turn it on these light, but I didn't. My point is, these satellites were each taking a full 30 seconds before coming into sight over the 30-foot trees. Meaning they were going really slow. The object I tracked this morning was moving so much faster. Here is a video showing the Starlink train going over someone's house. Count how long it takes for each one to come into view. Remember, when I saw the lights, they were huge and they took 30 seconds from each light to appear. It was like they were just above the trees. I counted about 3 seconds for each one. Again, the ones I saw just days after the launch took 30 seconds each. That tells me they had to be low and slow. Here there are about 40 balloon satellites. That means I was pretty close when I said between 36 and 40. Now compare what I saw at 30 seconds apart and then this single object coming up. I reduced the speed of this video to 50% because it was just too shaky at full speed. I was capturing Jupiter and the time was 5:53, about an hour before I would catch the sun coming into view. A photographer friend found me a tripod for $10 at a second-hand shop. It was better and lighter than the one I had. It worked great with my Nikon D5600 camera, but not so well with the weight of my P1000. I quickly learned it was very unstable and really hard to keep anything in frame when I zoomed out more than 1500 millimeters. I was trying to get a plane in frame when this white dot came into frame. I immediately forgot the plane and focused my attention on the dot, which I thought was a star. But I wasn't zoomed out near far enough for it to be a star this size. It took me a second to realize the dot was moving. Here comes a star. Notice the difference in size. It is silent, so it's not a plane or helicopter. And it's moving pretty fast. I soon realized it was coming toward me and was going to pass me on the left-hand side. It was hard to keep up with it as it passed me, as it was moving really fast. Once it is past me, it's moving away and gets easier to track, but it is also getting smaller. I find it hard to see things in the tiny 3-inch display on the camera. So it wasn't until I got home and was looking at it on my laptop. That's when I noticed it was not a perfect circle. It seemed to have a dent in the top. This made me think of a hot air balloon. But it was far too high for that. My next thought was a balloon satellite. I took the time to remove sections where I was really struggling to keep the object centered. So please forgive all the shake and moving. I was using every muscle in my arms to try and keep still. At this point this thing is going a little east of north into the distance. Here comes another one to the right. But I can't tell if it's moving as I am staying focused on the first one. Now another star is center screen, just above it. Another star just for a second. Another star. As I trying to bring my object back into frame, there is another star top right, then another in the top left. The object came from the south and past me, which made it hard to keep centered. It is now heading a little east of north, going straight away from me. This is where it starts to really diminish in size and disappears. The object I am trying to track is so far away now it is appearing smaller than the star. Watch closely, there is now another two stars just above the object, one on the right and the other on the left. Both are barely visible. Now I have followed the object as far as I can. I will now zoom in on the star above the horizon so you can see how the star looks at 3000 mm, that same as I had tried to use on the object. Notice how small the star appears. I could see the star, but could no longer see the object as it went out of range. I couldn't even see the object as I was starting to zoom on the star. Now I will zoom on the star. It's easier to keep the star frame because it's not moving. Of course I still can't keep as still, so it distorts a bit. Again, that's the unstable tripod, plus my shake while trying to steady it. The object I was trying to track could not have been very large, or very far away. For this reason I do not believe it could have been in fake space. Let me zoom in on Jupiter, close enough to bring in 4 moons. I am able to do this with the same tripod. And with very little movement because it's not moving fast enough to move out of frame. I am zooming the full 3000 millimeters, full zoom. The object I was tracking had to be moving really fast, and it had to be pretty close to be constantly moving out of frame. The fact that it disappeared completely when I zoomed back shows it was not a large object. I would really like your feedback on this. If you have encountered this before, let me know. And if you have any footage of it, please share the link. Thanks for watching and keep your eyes on the skies.